No DQ Galaxy, we are live with a recap of Monday Night Raw for June 10th, 2024. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. I very much appreciate your viewership and support. This Saturday is WWE Clash at the Castle. And of course, I will be doing live coverage of Clash at the Castle this Saturday. NoDQ.com will keep you updated. Now, let's get to Monday Night Raw. We kicked off with the man challenging for the world title this Saturday, Drew McIntyre. We had the immediate CM Punk chants. McIntyre said he's only focusing on Clash at the Castle. He was quickly interrupted by Damian Priest and JD McDonough and Finn Balor. Priest said that McIntyre made things personal. Priest said he doesn't need Judgment Day to be champion. And McIntyre disagreed. McIntyre said Judgment Day is the only reason that Priest even has a chance of retaining his championship. So Priest decided to propose a match. McIntyre versus Finn Balor. And if McIntyre won, Judgment Day would be barred from ringside. But if Balor won, then they would get to be there front and center for the match. Of course, Drew McIntyre accepted the challenge, and that was set up for the main event of the show. Now, one person not out there was Dominik Mysterio. Dominik was backstage. He was in the Judgment Day's office or locker room, whatever you want to call it. Liv Morgan, the women's champion, showed up, and she said that a gorgeous man like Dominik should be with a woman who doesn't make him call her mommy, but rather a woman that calls him daddy. And she gave her hotel room key to Dominik Mysterio. Dominik did not fold, but there's more. Stay tuned. Solid opening segments here to kick off Raw. We had our first match of the evening. And by the way, shout out to Noah Foster, who was at the show in Toledo, Ohio, about 70 miles from where I'm at. But I wasn't going to go to Toledo for Monday Night Raw. I mean, I probably would not go to Detroit for Monday Night Raw, so that is that. Anyways, we had IYO SKY versus Lyra Valkyria. Rematch from the Queen of the Ring tournament several weeks ago. Lyra had the early advantage. She put on this submission hold where she was swinging. IYO had her like a pretzel and then went for a pin. IYO kicked out. IYO got sent to the outside, but then IYO gained control. She hit a springboard moonsault to the outside, dominated after the commercial break. Lyra was able to avoid the over the moonsault, and she nearly pinned IYO the same way she did in the tournament match. But then she hit the Nightwing. Dakota Kai broke up the pin while the referee wasn't looking. Lyra went after Kairi Sane, went after Dakota, and then went up top, but IYO knocked her off. IYO hit the Meteora and then finished off Lyra with the actually, no, she did not beat her with the over the moonsault. She went for it. Lyra got her knees up, and then Lyra still had some fire left. She had a tornado DDT, went for the Nightwing again, but IYO pulled the hair and stacked up Lyra and got the 1-2-3 victory. It was a good match. IYO got her win back. And then backstage, IYO was still unhappy, and she said there needs to be changes in damage control. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. Lyra lost, basically getting screwed out of the match, so she'll have another day. It was good. And then after the match was over, Damage Control continued their attack, but Caden Carter and Katana Chance ran down to make the save. So maybe we'll get a 6-woman tag team match at some point. Actually, we probably will, most likely. Highly likely in all likelihood. Backstage, Judgment Day confronted Dominik Mysterio, and it was revealed that she left him the hotel room key. And Carlito responded by saying, "That's cool." But Finn Balor said, "That was not cool." We had The Miz looking for R-Truth. They are the tag team champions. R-Truth nowhere to be found. And then Sami Zayn ran into Maxine Dupree and Tozawa, reminded them once again they don't need to take Chad Gable's abuse. Otis stepped in. Zayn said he'll see Otis in the ring. And Otis wanted to explain himself, and Zayn said he already knows, he understands. He just doesn't want to see Otis continuing to put up with Gable. And Otis said that he had everything at one point. He had his peach, who is Mandy Rose, but he did not mention her by name. He had the Money in the Bank, and he lost it all. And Chad Gable was there, and Otis said without Gable, he's nothing. And Zayn was not accepting this. He said that it's not true. He hopes one day Otis will realize just how special he is. We had Damian Priest confronting Dominik about the hotel room key, and Balor said they don't need to worry about it, but the key was nowhere to be found. The key mysteriously disappeared. We had a Ludwig Kaiser video package, and he bragged about beating Sheamus because he has A+ talent and ruthlessness, and he vowed to win Money in the Bank, and we will have some qualifying matches on next week's show. Next up, we had a tag team match. Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee and Braun Strowman versus JD McDonough, Dominik Mysterio, and Carlito. And as usual, Dominik would tag in, then Rey would tag in, Dominik would quickly tag out. Dominik took a cheap shot at Dragon Lee, and then they worked over Rey's team for a while. And eventually, after Strowman got knocked off the apron, Dragon Lee was able to make the hot tag. He came in, and then Rey was back in. All hell started to break loose at this point. Liv Morgan showed up. Liv came out there, and she got on the apron. Zelina Vega knocked Liv off the apron. Liv fell on top of Dominik, and she was basically in a straddling position on top of Dominik. Dominik not sure what to do, but I think most men would definitely feel a certain way if they had Liv Morgan on top of them. And she was playing into it, but before we could see things escalate, we had Zelina Vega spoiling the fun. Zelina Vega went after Liv Morgan, and like I said, all hell had broken loose, but Braun Strowman rose from the ashes. Braun Strowman tagged in, and he did the Strowman Express, wiping out everybody. He power slammed Carlito. Dragon Lee tagged in, came off the top of Strowman's shoulders with a splash, and got the 1-2-3 victory. Really fun match here. You made everybody look good. Dragon Lee got the pin. Braun Strowman came in, did his stuff, looked impressive. You continued the storyline with Dominik and Liv Morgan. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. This is a very entertaining storyline. I'm loving it. Really good stuff here. Thumbs up for this segment. We had an Ilja Dragunov video package, and Ricochet was backstage. He gave Dragunov a pep talk, and Ricochet said he's got Dragunov's back. We then had Sami Zayn come into the ring to hype up his match with Chad Gable at the pay-per-view or the premium live event, Clash at the Castle. Gable and Alpha Academy quickly interrupted, and Gable said that they are all quite happy. Zayn needs to keep his nose out of their business, but Zayn questioned if they actually were happy and said they're actually not going to be happy until they leave Chad Gable's sorry ass. Gable said they are family. They stick together no matter what. And Gable said he was going to unleash his version of Otis against Sami Zayn. That led to our match, Otis versus Zayn, and Otis was dominating. And Gable was out there giving him instructions. Otis hit a splash. Gable wanted him to do it again. Otis went over and Gable got on the apron to talk to him. And that's when Sami Zayn took advantage. Haluva kick. Got the 1-2-3 victory. And then Gable immediately attacked Sami Zayn after the match. Picked up Zayn. Wanted Otis to attack Zayn. Otis wouldn't do it though. And then Gable slapped Otis twice. Otis started gyrating. He charged at Gable. Gable sidestepped him, moved out of the way. Otis ended up hitting Zayn and then power slamming Zayn. Gable was happy, but then Otis suddenly turned over at Gable, ripped off his shirt. You had Gable cowering in the corner. Otis was going to hit him. He was going to give him a punch to the face, but then Otis backed down. He left the ringside area, and we'll see what happens on Saturday. Another great angle with these guys. One of the highlights of Raw. Loving it. The question is, will Chad Gable actually win the title, or will we have the breakup on Saturday and Gable loses again? The thing that's interesting to me is that Michael Cole was really making a big deal out of it that Gable has never won a singles title in WWE. And usually when that happens, the guy ends up winning. Like they're trying to make you aware of it and just nailing it into the ground here, making it clear Chad Gable has never won a singles title. I'm definitely intrigued. Like, I would not be shocked if we got a title change. I would also not be shocked if Otis finally turns against Gable and Gable has to fight yet another day. But we'll see what they do on Saturday. It's going to be a hot match, though, in Scotland. I'm sure of that. Backstage, Miz finally found R-Truth, who came out of a locker room. He said he spoke to a fortune teller, and they made a tag team title match. Awesome Truth versus the APA, Farouk and Bradshaw. But then the fortune teller turned out to be Scarlett, and the match was actually against AOP. And she handed them the death card. We had a Jey Uso video package hyping up Money in the Bank. And then we had Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, the women's tag team champions, at ringside for Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark versus Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. All three teams will be facing each other on Saturday. So, this was just a little filler match. Fire and Dawn did cut a promo and vowed to win the titles in their home country of Scotland. They're pretty much in this match because Clash of the Castle is in Scotland. Otherwise, they would not be in this. Let's be real here. But, yeah, it was a basic tag team match. Not much to say about it. I mean, Shayna lost at the NXT Battleground show, so made sense for her to get her win back. And that's exactly what happened here. She submitted Fire with the Kirifuda clutch and picked up a little momentum, but I don't think they're winning either. I think we're going to see the champions retain on Saturday. But by the way, cheap plug for our predictions. We will be doing predictions this coming Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, right here on the No DQ YouTube channel. Braun Breakker was showcased in a video package, and that led to a match with Ilja Dragunov. They had quite the feud in NXT. It was a hell of a match. The only negative was that, the only negative was that the crowd was not too hot for this. This was a pretty weak crowd in Toledo, Ohio. Sorry, Noah. You guys got to bring more energy next time. They were almost as bad, not quite as bad as Corpus Christi, which is the city that's hosting Raw next week. That could be rough. Why they go back to Corpus Christi, I don't know. Corpus Christi is, in my opinion, the worst WWE town. Like, they almost never bring any energy. But this was a great match. I agree with Matthew. This should have been at Clash at the Castle, but you know, it helped elevate another story that's going on. Anyways, very back and forth match here. Like, Dragunov got in a lot of offense on Breakker, so it was not a squash by any means. Dragunov did a lot of moves. He did the coast to coast onto Braun Breakker, came off the top with a senton, but Breakker kept kicking out, and he stayed in the fight though. Anytime Braun Breakker would get the advantage, Dragunov would come right back at him. He hit the H-bomb, could not make the cover right away, and the crowd did bust out a "This is awesome" chant. It was a very weak one, but they did chant it, and they fought on the outside for a little bit. Dragunov was dropped ribs first on the table. Breakker targeted the ribs, and then back in the ring, Dragunov got hit with a spear. He managed to roll to the outside. Breakker went outside, hit him with another spear. Dragunov barely beat the 10 count. He would rather get back in the ring than get counted out. And when he got in the ring, he was immediately hit with a spear. And Braun Breakker finally got the 1-2-3 victory. I mean, they made Dragunov look about as strong as possible in a losing effort. Really good TV match here. And then afterwards, Breakker continued his attack because Dragunov got back to his feet, and Breakker did not approve of this. So Breakker went after Dragunov, but then Ricochet, out of nowhere, made the save, and Braun Breakker fled the scene. So at least in this moment, it looked like maybe Braun Breakker and Ricochet are on a rematch collision course. But I think Ricochet may be heading in a different direction as far as collisions go, if you catch my drift. We had, and more on that in just a few moments here. We had the Judgment Day backstage, and they did find the key card, the hotel room card. Balor took it away for his match. Then we had Sheamus giving Drew McIntyre a pep talk. Sheamus vowed to win Money in the Bank and beat the crap out of Ludwig Kaiser. Drew just asked that Sheamus give him a heads up with the cash in. And Sheamus said that regardless of what happens, when they do fight, it will be banger after banger after banger. Awesome Truth fought AOPP in a tag team match, and Karrion Kross cut this pre-match promo, said that when they win the titles, maybe Xavier Woods will finally see the light and join the Final Testament. It was another basic tag team match here. They worked over Miz for a while. Then R-Truth came in. They went for a double 5-knuckle shuffle, but Scarlett got on the apron. Kross interfered. He tripped him. And then Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods ran down to attack Karrion Kross. Truth hit Akam with the tag team title while the referee wasn't looking. Akam no-sold it, but then Miz rolled up Akam and got the 1-2-3 victory. I agree, Dylan. Awesome Truth did the pre-match rap, and for whatever reason, it was way off sync with the music. I'm not sure if it was an audio issue through Truth's earpiece or if like the sound system was messed up. I don't know, but it was not good this week. It was definitely way off. He usually has the rhythm. He did not have it this week. Miz never has it, but Truth usually has it. He did not have it this week. And then we had a backstage segment. Braun Breakker went after both Dragunov and Ricochet. Ricochet and Breakker fought in the parking lot area, but Breakker got the upper hand. And then we had a little throwback to WCW, if you recall. Kevin Nash, one of the famous NWO beatdown segments, where Kevin Nash took Rey Mysterio and threw him head first into the trailer. Same thing here. Braun Breakker recreated that spot with Ricochet, threw him head first into the trailer, and then picked him up and power slammed him through a car windshield. Real glass. And hopefully Breakker didn't get hurt. He looked like he was a little bit taken for a loop with that spot. But yeah, Ricochet put through the glass. And then after the commercial break, a very distraught Samantha Irvin, who is the ring announcer and fiance of Ricochet, she left. She got in an ambulance with Ricochet as they took Ricochet to the hospital. And yeah, this appears to be Ricochet's swan song in WWE unless he signs a new contract, which looks like at this point he's not going to. If this was the end for Ricochet, it was quite the exit for sure. I mean, Braun Breakker is a complete beast, and if Ricochet does sign a new deal, he can always come back and feud with Braun Breakker and get his revenge. So it makes sense. It makes sense to do this angle because you can always keep that open. Although it looks like we're not going to get our Ricochet versus Dragunov rematch unless Ricochet signs a new deal. Really good angle here to build up Braun Breakker. And then we had our main event. Pat McAfee took over as the ring announcer. He referred to Drew McIntyre as the big, handsome bastard from Scotland. Finn Balor was from the bum-ass Judgment Day. This was pretty entertaining. He said that Balor had 0% body fat. And we had the match. Balor targeted the taped arm of McIntyre, but then McIntyre gave him a belly-to-belly over the announce table. After the commercial break, Balor gained control for a while, but then after he started chopping McIntyre got fired up. He went for the Claymore, but Balor countered it with the Sling Blade, went up top, went for the coup de grace, but McIntyre gave him a Glasgow kiss, gave him a superplex, and then went for the Claymore. But Damian Priest came out there. Carlito and JD McDonough got on the apron. They were attacked. Balor tried to roll up McIntyre, but McIntyre kicked out. And then he went for the coup de grace again, but he missed. Claymore, 1, 2, 3. Drew McIntyre picked up the victory. And then after the match, Damian Priest got on the apron and had a little bit of a face-off with Drew McIntyre to close out Monday Night Raw. And because of this, Judgment Day has been banned from ringside. Now, Caleb Thomas sent in a $2 super chat, says, if CM Punk costs Drew the title, does Punk turn heel? Yeah, so Judgment Day banned from ringside, but nobody said anything about CM Punk being banned from ringside. We'll see what happens. Punk will be a heel in Scotland if that happens. I think Drew has to win the title, though. Like it's weird because Priest is going to have his run cut short, and I feel bad for Priest. And they could do Punk versus McIntyre for no title. I mean, they really don't need the title. And then do Priest versus Gunther. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. I'm torn because, I mean, everybody thinks CM Punk is going to show up and he's going to be quite the heel. Maybe it backfires. Maybe Punk shows up and he accidentally costs Priest the match and inadvertently helps McIntyre win the title. We'll see what happens. I mean, this one I'm thinking could go either way, but yeah, we'll see. I just can't imagine Drew McIntyre losing again at Clash at the Castle, though. He already lost in 2022, and this is actually his home country. So Punk would be quite the heel if he interfered. I mean, he would probably get booed out of the building in Scotland. So yeah, I'm intrigued by it. I will say this: I am more intrigued about this show than Backlash and King and Queen of the Ring by a pretty large degree. Like this feels like the most anticipation for a WWE show, for any Beast show in quite some time. I mean, other than WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble, I mean, I think this has the most hype of any WWE premium live event in 2024 up to this point. Looking forward to it. And again, we'll be doing predictions this Sunday. Raw was a good show. Toledo was not a great crowd, but we got some good angles here. The stuff with Braun Breakker and Ricochet, Chad Gable, Sami Zayn, Liv Morgan, Dominik, Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, all good angles. So overall, I give the show a B+. I think it was a very good Raw. I enjoyed it. I just wish the crowd was a little more enthusiastic. Like they didn't bring much energy, and next week could be rough. Corpus Christi. We'll see how that goes. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up on the No DQ YouTube channel, and stay tuned to No DQ for the very latest news and rumors. Dax Harwood is apparently out of action for a while. You can check out that. Details on that over on NoDQ.com. What's going on with Chad Gable and Ricochet. Caleb Thomas sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Caleb. I appreciate it. Says, thoughts on the custody of Dominik ladder match part 2. I think I mentioned this before. They should at least acknowledge it. I don't know if they're actually going to do it because I think this is supposed to be a serious feud, but it would be funny just to reference it and say, yeah, we're going to have a Dominik, a ladder match, custody of Dominik ladder match between Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. I would find that to be amusing if they at least brought it up, but I don't know if they're actually going to do a match, a custody of Dominik ladder match. I mean, they might. You never know. It's WWE. They like to do the over-the-top stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be a hot match when Rhea Ripley finally returns. So yeah, I'm loving it. Great stuff here with Dominik and Liv. I enjoyed the soap opera stuff. I think it's quality TV. I'm having fun with it. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your week. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. Buy a shirt. NoDQ.com/merch. Say yes to No DQ, and I will see you all next time.